South African girls are sleeping with Nigerian men for one reason, and that's because Nigerian men are using a different strategy that works. South African men will literally take you on one date and expect to take a woman home and smash and then decide if they like her or not, right?
I don't want to marry a South African because of their mindset when it comes to marriage. A South African can just wake up tomorrow and say you're divorcing. Divorce is nothing to them.
Nigerian women are scared of South African women. And before you guys come at me, of course, I'm generalizing basing on my experience here. So let's get into it.
South African girls are sleeping with Nigerian men for one reason, and that's because Nigerian men are using a different strategy that works than South African men. Firstly, South African women, like how any other human being, will be opportunistic, will always seek to gain opportunity or benefits. They understand that out of life in general, the almost biggest benefit you can get is money, because money is essentially resources. And on the other hand, in the dating scene, women seek security, they seek loyalty, they seek a stable, safe, secure relationship. A man, on the other hand, a man would also like to get money out of life and then in the dating scene, as much sex as possible. That's why I usually say that women gatekeep sex and then therefore men gatekeep a serious relationship. Now, this is where it gets juicy. When a South African man approaches a South African woman, Arasasheli, he doesn't aim to impress her or charm her. He doesn't even court her. All he wants to do is to hang out, decide if they like each other by just vibing and chilling out. And he doesn't want to make any promises. And this is not because he's afraid of commitment. I like to think that South African men tend to avoid commitments, especially because they know how much work it takes. They know that they have to be loyal. They know that they have to be dedicated to one girl. They know that they have to treat her with respect. They have to be patient, that they'll only have sex when she's ready, and he'll have to display more of his character and his ethics and his morals and all of this. So they avoid this by simply not putting a label to it. South African men will literally take you on one date and expect to take a woman home and smash and then decide if they like her or not, right? There, from the side of the woman, there's no benefits, there's no insurance, there's no safety. You don't know if you're sleeping with this guy, if he's going to take you seriously, if he's going to accept you, or he'll just simply wake you up and say your Uber's outside. Bye, and never ever speak to you again. Nigerian men come into the picture and say, listen, I like you. You are very sexy. I definitely do want to sleep with you, but I will not marry you. I won't be in a serious relationship with you. Listen, let's link up, drink alcohol, go out to dinner, and go to my place. At the end of the day, you get 10K. You can have your 10K in advance, or you can have your 10K after. Either or, there's a benefit. And then the girl goes, cling, cling. There's a benefit. Resources. Then she's willing to do it. Now she's more relaxed. Now she likes him more. And now she's more eased to get into it. On the other hand, listen to this. If I'm a 25-year-old girl, I have no kids, I have a degree, I have a stable job, my own place, my own car, I got no kids, I have a pretty ace, a tiny waist, and a fat ass, right? I can get any man I want. Would I rather be with Usipho that wants me to sleep with him? Ngimncenge. I don't know where this is going to end up. For all I know, I could like Sipho and then end up being heartbroken. Or do I just want to go to Ebuka and I'm going to have a good time with Ebuka and walk away with resources? What would I choose? So at the end of the day, this is my closing point. If South African men really want to compete competitively in the dating scene with Nigerian men, they're going to have to pick a struggle. Either you pay up, or you really come across and you show your heart, you show your intentions, you show your personality, uyashela, then you really come down. Then otherwise Nigerian men will always stay winning. And I don't even blame.
I want to talk about how my parents found out that I was in a relationship with a Nigerian guy, or rather how they reacted, right? This gentleman I met in 2019 and we made things official in 2021. He was like literally my first. I've never did it outside South Africa before and all that. And yeah. So my mom and I were having a discussion, and she's like, "You're so quiet about your relationship. Who are you seeing?" So I was like, "I'm seeing someone, but he's not South African." And she was like, "Where is he from?" Yo, my mom gave me that bombastic side eye look. And I was like, "He's Nigerian." She was like, "What? Human trafficking, drugs, scamming, everything, guys, everything negative." And then I was like, "No, he is different." And she was like, "You know what? I want to see his passport. I want to see his visa. I want his number plate and all that." Okay, fine. Then obviously I spoke to him about it, and then he sent me like a picture of his passport. Then I showed it to my mom, and then my mom and him spoke on the phone. And then he sounded decent, obviously. He was actually a decent guy, to be honest. Very, very, very respectful, decent, clean, focused, obviously. And he studied as well. So he was like an educated guy. Like, he's still educated, but anyway, he was an educated guy. So I spoke to my mom, everything made sense. So my mom allowed me to be with him. As for my dad, he didn't have a day. He was like, "Yo, Kuri, you are living as a man for Nigerians." But anyway, obviously, I educated them. I spoke to them. I was like, not everyone is the same. Obviously, we have good people and we have bad people. We have good South African men and we have bad South African men. So there are good Nigerian men and there are bad Nigerian men. But at that time, obviously, I met a good one and a very, very, very decent one. So yeah, it's always good to have like a relationship conversations with your parents. You know, they know better and they know what's best for you. And it's always good to take their advice, you know, all the time. Yeah, and they actually, but I take my parents' advice, especially my mom's advice. She gives the best advice ever. But yeah, long story short, the guy and I broke up and then we became friends. But yeah, that's it.
I don't want to marry a South African because of their mindset when it comes to marriage. A South African can just wake up tomorrow and say you're divorcing. Divorce is nothing to them. You understand? Wow. So that's number one.
That's another cultural shock again for you.
That's number one reason I don't even want to ever fall in love with a South African. Because he can just wake up and leave me anytime. It doesn't.
Yeah, watching you. You're so shocked now that you get inbox of South African men saying for that reason we are marrying you.
He doesn't care that I love him. He doesn't care that you have children with him. Guys just wake up here and leave and say he is in love with someone else. And the next thing, divorce. Now, in our countries where we come from, divorce, especially in my culture, is not an option.
No, it's not an
I always tell people that people separate. There's separation. Sometimes when you can't deal with each other, everyone goes their way. But a time comes, a woman comes back to her home. Even the husband who remarried knows that his wife will come back.
Come back. Yeah.
He always leaves space. He knows that at a time she will come back.
Is it not the thing there, South Africa, for example, this is me just talking about it, that the reason why they will have that mindset of relationship is because they don't want to deal with the abuse or deal with the pain that relationship comes with.
We're here in South Africa.
Yeah, here in South Africa, where you said, for example, the reason why you won't want to marry them is because they wake up one morning and they just go. Maybe you become a pain and they don't want to deal with the pain and they decide to move.
Well, marriage is for better or for worse. That's what our understanding is. Back home, we have people who, once you're married, you're married. Your husband loses his job, he can't bring money home. You work hard and bring money home. And he will eat it the way you used to eat his money when he was working. Are you understanding?
I get you.
The same thing, the wife will lose her job and come home and the husband will provide the way he was providing or she was providing when she was working. So in South Africa here, men can just leave you because that you don't bring money home. I always see South Africa as not Africa, like a country not in Africa. In terms of how people do things.
I'm tempted to ask you, have you dated a South African man?
I've tried once.
That's what I'm saying, because we have to be saying all of this, because somebody will be like, okay, well, why should she be talking like that? How does she know we South African? So you've tried once. So
I dated South African for less than 3 months.
3 months. The culture here in South Africa compared to Kenyan, how similar are they or how apart?
Well, in terms of how they pay lobola, the Zulu culture mostly, I like to say,
do you think our leaders in Africa are fostering collaborations and unifying us as a continent?
I don't think so. I think they are pretending.
But I think what I'm trying to struggle here, you've divorced the person. What owning are we talking about?
Divorce is paper.
Yeah.
In my place, people believe marriage is a covenant.
In case you want to get married, Kenya, are you hearing? So divorce is a paper, marriage is a covenant. So you can't tear covenant. You can't tear paper.
Mostly, I'm telling you the truth.
No, I promise you, I'm enjoying what you're saying. Yeah. I think this is the first time I'm hearing that. And so it's like, okay, it's interesting.
In my tribe, that happens. I've had aunties who died while they were not together with their husband. You find that the husband moved on. He remarried and is living his life.
You guys can't even keep your women. Other women don't.
So you here to tell our South African men that we don't want them. You're speaking on our behalf as South African women. My dear, I've been married to one. I have a brother. I have a father. And trust me when I say those people have class. No, guys, they mustn't lie to you. They must never lie to you. They must never lie to you, guys. Who said we don't want them? No, Miss Kat.
Let me tell you, Nigerian women are scared of South African women. And before you guys come at me, of course, I'm generalizing basing on my experience here. So let's get into it. You know, in South Africa, there's this thing that Nigerian men are not liked by South African men because they're saying we're taking away the woman. Well, here in Nigeria, it's exactly the same, just the opposite sex. So I went to a school sporting event when I first arrived here. And the mother from the family that I'm with introduced me to one of her friends. And she's like, oh, this is Sane. She's from South Africa. She's here visiting for the first time. And the first thing this lady does, she looks at me like literally up and down. And she's like, I will never allow my husband to visit South Africa. I will never allow my husband to visit South Africa. And, you know, she said it like in a joke, funny way. So we laughed about it, haha, kiki. You know, cool. I was like, all right, I get it. You know, people here like to say that South African girls are like nicely structured with their figures and their bum and blah, blah, blah. And a couple of days later, we were hosting a birthday here. And again, obviously friends came over. She introduces me, oh, this is Hane. She came from South Africa. Now the lady she was introducing me, I recognized the husband from South Africa because he used to stay in South Africa. As a matter of fact, he attended my wedding in South Africa, so I recognized his face. And then I say to her, oh yeah, like I recognized your husband when he walked in. And she looks at me and she says, oh, so you didn't recognize me? And in that moment, I'm like, yo, kanene. So that's the energy that I get here, like especially around Nigerian women that are married. They're like, stay away from my husband. Like, I'm holding my husband on leash because as an African woman is here. So weird.